Welcome to your go-to podcast for the pool and spa industry. My name is Tyler Rasmussen.
And my name is Greg Villafania. And this is the Pool Chasers Podcast.
Welcome to the Pool Chasers Podcast. This is episode 8. Thank you guys so much for listening. In this episode, we get to interview Fred from PoolRx. It's exciting for us because this product is something that we believe in wholeheartedly here at Brothers. We put it in every pool that we service weekly, and it's just been a life changer for us. It's dropped our chemical costs dramatically. We've also been able to avoid any algae blooms and things in the summer, and all of our customers have been super happy because they've been able to swim through the whole summer and not have to deal with any, times where the pool is down because of algae or trying to get it back blue because they had a party, those parties that always come up last minute and, hey, pool guy, can you come vacuum for me or come take a look at my pool? It's green. Can you get it blue before tomorrow? We know those stories, guys. And, PoolRx has been a lifesaver on those difficult pools. We also use it as a preventative, and that's something we kind of get into in the podcast as well. It's been something we really, truly believe in. And Fred will, dive into the product itself. We talk about quite a lot of do's and don'ts with the product. We actually get into our process with the product and how we pitch it to our customers, how we sell it to them, how we profit from that, and how we benefit from that as far as a company. And, our process is pretty extensive, so we talk about that thoroughly. We hope you guys can get something from that, and how to use it with your customers. And it definitely shows, the true colors of PoolRx and how they believe in helping the pool guy, how they believe in helping this industry. And, Fred's been just an inspiration for us. And he truly believes in the product, truly believes in helping people. And it was our honor to have him here on the podcast. So let's jump right into it, guys. We hope you enjoyed the episode.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Fred. We really appreciate you taking the time to come to the Pool Chaser studio and be with us all the way from California. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No problem. Let's jump right into this. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Not really, but I will. Yeah, it's Fred Schweer with PoolRx. Been with the company for going on 8 years. I know you've kind of asked me about my family and my background a little bit, so I can get into that a little bit. Born and raised in Palo Alto, California. Born in 71, so it dates myself a little bit, but. So yeah, I was out in Northern California, growing up in the 70s and 80s, and then moved down to Irvine, California, with my family. My folks relocated down there. Went to Woodbridge High School, played all sports there, and then I went up to Oregon State. And then from Oregon State, I went to University of New Mexico and graduated there. Then I went over to Germany for a year. Had some fun out there in Germany. Not many pool. I wasn't into the pool business then, but and then after that came back and went to work. Been in sales and support, different companies, and then went into kind of a startup. We were selling excess inventory from the original .com bust when the .comers all thought they were going to have 100 seats in their .com company, and the next year the .com thing kind of bursted, and they had all this excess inventory. Cisco and Nortel and all these router and switch manufacturers all had this excess inventory, and so we bought that up on the kind of the gray market and made a ton of money on that. So that was my first kind of success in business.
Nice.
And learned a lot as far as being a business owner. Kind of where it was all on you instead of getting a paycheck. You were going right in the paychecks, and went really well, really successful. We got out of that business pretty, on a good level where the inventory kind of dried up and the economy kind of recovered a little bit. And then went into a company called Triton Technologies, and we were making gaming headsets for Xbox and PlayStation. And we started with about a $50,000 investment. And we built that company up to about $23 million in sales.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we hit that thing. That was a good timing deal on that. We were making a gaming headset that was a surround sound headset for the first person shooter games.
Yeah.
And so it was a good timing for us. We just happened to get lucky that all the first person shooter games were being real popular.
Was that when Xbox first came out with like Halo?
Yeah, it was in that time frame, where all those
Mm-hmm.
those games were coming out on both Xbox
Halo,
and PlayStation.
Call of Duty.
Right.
There was another game that was
Battlefront.
huge. Was it Battlefront? There was
That's
one that
what-
was
that's what
huge. I mean,
Jeremy
that's
was
when the
playing.
headsets and everything like really
No,
started
Call of
becoming.
Duty. Call of Duty is the biggest player, I think, besides Halo.
Yeah, the funny part is I wasn't really a gamer, but we did a good job of getting connected with the main manufacturers and getting them some of our products and having them check it out and kind of, giving us those testimonials that are so important for a product business. And so anyway, we built that thing up, and then it got so big that we couldn't really afford it, and we ended up having to sell it to a public company called Mad Cats. And at that point, unfortunately, I was not an owner, a specific owner of that company, but there was a nice exit strategy for us. But I still had to work.
Sure.
So it wasn't.
Right.
We sold the company for like $10 million, but I didn't walk away with $10 million.
nearly 10 million.
No. So
And where was that based out of?
yeah, that was based out of Vista, California. So down by San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah.
What sports did you play in high school?
Yeah, I was all sports: football, basketball, baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Triathlete.
yeah. Grew up. That was how it was back then. It's, it's not like that anymore. Everyone's specialized.
Yeah.
It seems like every kid nowadays has
One sport.
year-round coach, and they play one sport. But back in my era was you can play them all and still be good enough to make a high school team.
Yeah. I played all three in high school too. So
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Did sports help you with discipline and other things that you do now?
Oh, absolutely. I for me, that's kind of how I was brought up, and my dad was into sports. His whole family was into sports. He has, 3 other brothers, and so we've always been into something. But yeah, absolutely. I think that, what you get out of competitive sports and team sports and even individual sports, it's just great life lessons for, how to get knocked down and get back up and keep trying and, play by the rules.
Yeah, most definitely. You
Play
still
with
watch
your team.
sports?
Yeah, absolutely.
What are your
Absolutely.
teams?
Well, my teams are whatever team is my sons are on. So I got 2 boys. I got a 9-year-old boy and an 11-year-old boy.
Oh, nice.
There you
And
go.
so, yeah, they're playing. They play them all. They play little league, flag football, basketball, soccer. So it's
cool.
fun. So yeah, it's busy with us.
Year-round practices, driving around.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Are they
Dropping them
good?
off.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. I mean, they're 9 and 11. They're still a little ways to go, but they're good.
Are you one of those crazy dads that's screaming on the sidelines?
I was.
So you got kicked out of some games or what?
No, I don't think I've been kicked out of any games, but I've as a parent with my your first son, you're pretty gung ho and you're not really sure. You're just into it, and as you grow, as a parent, as a person, you're like, okay, let's put this in perspective.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
I think
I've mellowed over the years.
I think there's a borderline there where you start embarrassing the kid.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They're like, Dad, come on. Like,
Right.
Our dad, we could hear our dad louder than we could hear the coach.
Yeah.
I'm like, how's that possible? He's like
Oh, for sure,
like
dude.
way up in the stands. Like I
He's
could
the
hear him more
only-
clear than anybody.
Right.
Yeah, he's
right.
the only voice I heard. Like the
Yeah.
whole crowd could be screaming, and you could hear him. All I could hear through the helmet, was just like him. It's
Right.
crazy. He was awesome though. He was really always there, supported us, and
Yeah.
he never missed a game and took us all the practices as well. He worked really hard to be able to do that. I think that's cool. My son plays in Little League now too, so I've
cool.
been assistant coach the last couple of years with that.
How old is he?
So he's 6.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's just getting it, but he's
Yeah.
been in coach pitch now.
He's a baller.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Man,
He's knocking him.
baseball's hard, man. You're so much standing around. For a young boy, it's like
I know.
you get to hit the ball. You're up at the plate twice, maybe for a 2-hour game, and you get maybe
Yeah.
one ball in the outfield or infield. It's
Yeah.
a lot
The
of
outfield is rough with the kids, man. They all really like batting. They get like 3 or 4 at bats, but yeah, when they're in the field, we have to constantly tell them to stand up and stop digging in the dirt. And
My favorite thing was just talking crap because baseball was my
Yeah.
was my
Baseball
sport
was.
growing up. By far my favorite. I brought my baseball glove everywhere. I wore it, when I was sleeping at night. I did the whole thing. But I just started talking crap, and I just kind of carried that on through sports. Even when we played, it kind of bit me in the butt towards the end. But you talk a little bit of smack. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
because you were good, man. That's
base-
the difference.
Yeah.
baseball's a sport of failure, though. So if you can deal with baseball as a young boy, it's gonna teach you quite a bit in life.
Yeah.
So it's
Talk
a
about
good
some
one.
discipline.
Yeah. Right.
Longevity.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it takes a lot to be patient with that for sure.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite sport playing? What
So football ended up being my sport. I ended up going to Oregon State on a football scholarship.
I was going to ask
wow,
that.
no way.
Yeah,
Nice.
and I played quarterback. That was many pounds ago.
You guys got some in common.
Yeah.
I was a quarterback.
I
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Didn't get a
So-
scholarship, but
Yeah, it was a great experience. You know, got to play in the Pac-10, and back in those days it was the Pac-10, not the 12. But I grew up in going to all the Stanford games in Palo Alto and watching John Elway play, and that was kind of a dream come true for me to be able to play in that level and play at that stadium and do that kind of stuff. So it was
No
fun.
way.
so were you on the field? Did you actually? Were you starter?
I actually played. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so cool. You got some pictures you can share with us?
I-
I'm sure you have long hair.
Yeah, I had a mullet at one point.
Dude, that's awesome.
That's really cool. Was there anybody famous that we would know of that you played with or play against or anything?
Drew Bledsoe.
Oh, Bledsoe?
Yeah, so he was the same year. He's the same year as me, and we played against each other. He was at Washington State.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of different athletes that actually were real athletes and really good, and they actually kept going on and playing the pros. But
Did you beat him?
No, we didn't. We
Bummer.
didn't. Yeah, but
Did you have hopes of going to the NFL, or were you just kind of riding on that scholarship, just having
No.
fun with it?
no, I was hopeful, but I wasn't focused. I was still pretty immature, didn't really have the good direction or self motivation, the self drive to really be focused, on what was important. That a lot of kids are learning now at an early age with being, playing one sport the whole time, having a specialized coach, having this, this direction, you go from here to here to here to here. So it wasn't like that back then. It was, you're playing for fun, you're enjoying your time. And if it works out, great. And if it not, that's all right too.
Yeah. So
For sure.
Oregon State, that's not the Ducks. That's
The Beavers.
The
Beavers.
Beavers. So that was your rivalry?
The Ducks, yeah, that's the Civil War. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know because he's much older than you, but did you hear much about Phil Knight? And the legendary track coach over there at Oregon University?
Yeah, so Phil Knight with Nike, they were already big, and they were, we went to I think it was in
Because that was the 80s when you were in college,
it was
right?
Beaverton. Yeah, I was there in actually 89, 90, 91 at
Okay.
Oregon State, and then I transferred to University of New Mexico.
Oh, yeah. So Nike was popping because they put on Jordan, in the late...
Yeah,
Maybe
they-
late 80s,
mid-
early
mid-
90s?
Yeah, they were
80s.
already big.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
Yep.
cool.
Yeah, when I think of Oregon now, that's like all I think about is Nike, and he just revamped, everything at that college. You know what I mean? They got all the different
Oh, yeah.
streets are named after people that were helped building Nike back in the day.
Yep.
Well, even when Nike took over the jersey sales, a couple years ago, Oregon was like the one. And
Dude, their
they-
uniforms are sick, dude.
Yeah,
they have
there's-
the coolest uniforms
and they
by far.
change. They change like all the time. Like they have like 9 different uniforms like throughout the season.
Right.
Because it's super cool. I think it's cool that Oregon like allowed them to do that too. They changed the court too because the basketball court's got the weird like all the trees and stuff on it. Like it's super confusing, but
Yeah, but they were, like it is. It's always been this way, but he got people and well-known athletes to wear his shoes, and once people are seeing, people that they admire wearing the shoes, that's going to give them more credibility, more trust, and then you're getting other people trying that as well. So
Yeah, he was kind of a genius. I mean, he even went after some of the really rebellious guys that were making a scene. I forgot what's his name. What was the guy that McEnroe?
John McEnroe,
Yeah, they were talking about how there was somebody on this court whatever at Wimbledon or something, and he's like, "Who's making this big fuss over here?" And they're like, "Oh, don't worry about him, man. He's a hothead. You don't want anything to do with him." He's like, "Hothead." He goes over there, he's throwing his tennis racket, screaming into everybody, and he's like, "No, I want him to
Heck
be in
yeah, I
Nikes."
want him.
And it's kind of probably a cheap deal because nobody else wanted to take the risk. Tennis isn't really the sport where you get super crazy and throw your racket at the crowd or do that kind of stuff. But
Right.
it was pretty cool to see that he was just, trying new stuff in all those different places.
Yeah, it's the same. Same went with Oakley. Oakley came up and they did the same concept of trying to get these ambassadors, brand ambassadors, or people that were, that were well known in the community, and trying to get them to try out the product and then be seen with the product. And next thing you know, it's they called it guerrilla marketing. I had a couple of friends that worked for Oakley, and they'd take their sunglasses out to all these athletes at these different games and say, would you wear these, while they're playing baseball or while they're, doing whatever. Next thing you know, that helps build that credibility, that brand awareness. And that's kind of the same thing that PoolRx has done. We've done a lot of, growing up with this company. There's been a lot of free samples that have gone out in the beginning to try to give people a feel of what this product does and how it works.
I think that's the best way, though. I mean, when you to give and give and give, and then you got that, then you start asking. You know what I mean? Once people understand and they start to appreciate the product, and I think that's the way to get their attention for sure from being a brand. And a lot of people don't do that. They just want put a T-shirt online and want you to buy it for $30, or vice versa. But trying to get people who, especially people who have names and who have big companies, and that they can rep your product, like that's the way to go about it.
And us pool guys, we love free swag.
For sure, man.
I think everyone does. I don't care if you're a pool guy or not. Everyone loves free stuff.
But you know what? Of all the swag that's out there, you guys got it down. I swear to God, I see these hats everywhere.
Yeah.
Good. I think they're cool.
You know what, man? We were talking about the Western show. We just went there. Like, their swag was horrible this year. There's like nothing, nobody handing out anything. I don't know what's going on with that, but I think there's a lot of pissed off pool guys out there that.
Well, I think we handed out a couple hundred hats, 200 or 300 hats. So,
wow!
I think you're probably one of the only ones giving out like actual stuff. Not just sunscreen and lip.
Right.
Whatever, chapstick.
Right.
It's 10 years old.
I don't think pool guys were lip balm. Wrong word. That's cool, man. So, you went to Oregon State. Why New Mexico State? Where you transferred there?
It was University of New Mexico. It was a point where the coach at Oregon State got fired. They brought in a new coach that was running the wishbone offense. And I was passing quarterback. I was looking for another place to actually play that I enjoyed playing. So took some trips and ended up at University of New Mexico.
The wishbone is the double back.
It's like a running
offense.
It's a full dive option type of offense, and I was a passing quarterback, so that wasn't for me. So we had like 9 or 10 people transfer, receivers and quarterbacks transferred out of there that year. Yeah, they all went to different places. But
did you have to wait a year of eligibility?
I did. It was a drag. Yeah, it was a drag. So, but still, I also enjoyed the weather out there. It was nice, and the food was great. So
in New Mexico?
Yeah.
I've never been.
Albuquerque's good weather and excellent food, and it was fun. Yeah.
Cool. Elevation higher there?
Yeah, it's about a mile. It's about a mile in the air.
So it stays a little cooler.
It depends. You got some hot summers.
I'm sure it's cooler than here. It's got to be cooler than here.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you guys have a nice climate here. It gets a little hot in the summer every now and then.
Oh, yeah, it does. Feels like the sun is like right next to us.
So how did you get involved with PoolRx?
Yeah, about 8 years ago, after the Triton Technology experience, I was looking for something to do, and I got lucky enough to be introduced to Derek Nelmapius, the owner of PoolRx. And from there, he was ready for some additional support. He'd been building this company up over the years on his own. And he was looking for some additional support, and with someone who had the skill set that I had. So did some looking into the product, traveled to a few trade shows to get a feel for the industry, and was pretty excited, because he had a product that was unique to anything else out there. It was benefiting both, the service professional and the end user customer. And so that was right up my alley. And I was kind of learned the grassroots from him in not only about our product, but about the industry itself. So, within that experience, I've had to, he made me go work some pools. I had a couple of routes I had to go work to kind of get a better feel and an appreciation for what the service professional goes through.
Dude, wow. That is so
That's
cool.
pretty cool. Is he an American or is
he's
he
South
from...
African? Yeah, he's South African.
South African.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so cool because we talked about in our original podcast, how Greg and came on like a little bit after I had started by myself, and we came together, and I don't think he understood, or we didn't understand fully what it was involved, what it entailed until you get into diving into actually cleaning a route.
Yeah.
And you kind of start to understand the lingo, you start to understand, the verbiage and how things are done. And then you can really start to communicate on that level, with the pool guys. And I think it takes a long time, 6 months to a year, I think, before you really start to get, the people in the field.
I don't think you'll ever truly understand, how a pool works and the chemistry and all that stuff unless you've actually gone out there, because there's so many things that aren't in the books. There's so many variables that you'll never understand.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And all pools are different.
Yep.
You know what I mean? With some homeowners have pets, some swim a lot, some
Sure.
never use their pool. There's so many crazy variables in it. So it's super important for you to go out there and do that. That's crazy. He had you do that though.
Well, it was good. It was, it gave me a better appreciation of really what we were doing, and also the benefits of what this product really does for guys in the field.
Yeah.
So
who'd you go work for, and how long did you do it?
There was a couple companies, local companies in Southern California. So I went on a couple routes for a little while. I only did it for a month or two, but I didn't go like every day. It was more like sparingly, But it was enough to kind of get my feet wet and get a better appreciation for exactly what's going on.
Did you do ride-alongs, or did you do it by yourself?
No, ride-alongs.
Ride-alongs?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah, for
Nice.
sure. Yep.
How can we convince people to do ride-alongs?
Yeah, let's get
Yeah,
Fred, you want to do a ride-along?
Free worker.
Thinking about pitching it as like a gym, you know what I mean? Like, hey, if you want to get in this new type of workout, you're just kind of cleaning these
You need
pools.
to go to the junior college and make it as a credit and have someone do
There you go.
do
Dude,
a
that'd
class.
be awesome. That'd
That
be
would
so
be good.
cool.
Yeah, pool guy class.
Yeah, definitely look into that.
A summer-only class?
Yeah. Summer
Exactly.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so no, I did started there. Over the last 8 years, my education has grown. From being thrown into different IPSA meetings and UPA meetings where I'm getting every question under the sun, and other questions about other products. So, my knowledge has grown through the chemistry, and also through, all the CPO information that's available out there. And, that's really been my growth with that. But, as far as starting with the company, it was really from, an opportunity that I got from Derek Nelmapius, and I thank him for that. And it's been an enjoyable experience. He's a good owner, and really supports his employees, and gives us some freedom to really run with it. The other guy that I'm really thankful for in our company is Pete Ashby. Pete handles all the operations of the company. He is really the glue that keeps it all together. And with his addition a few years ago, we've really made some huge strides as a company. And so, I'm really confident in the direction of PoolRx's organization, and just the back end support that PoolRx now has with guys like with Pete and myself and Derek, kind of running this as a lean, profitable business. So we're really excited about the future for PoolRx, and we're going to continue to support the trade, the service professionals, and also try to educate some of the end users as well. So couldn't be happier about the direction and the opportunity that I got originally, from Derek about 8 years ago. So it's been a fun market to be a part of.
So when you started to get on with PoolRx and you started to go to the IPSA meetings and other things, did you get a lot of pushback?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because some of the older guys they're familiar with the product, but they don't really understand the chemistry of it. And again, there was a lot of questions that I got that I didn't have answers to. So I'm like, hey, I'll have to get back to you. I don't know. I'm not going to bullshit you.
But that's why you went to those, right? Is to figure out, where your place was going to be.
A lot of it is, you gotta get those questions, and you gotta, in the very beginning, you gotta figure out exactly where people don't understand things and what I don't understand.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know, as they say.
Sure.
So it was a good educational experience those first couple years. I'm 8 years into it now, and I got a pretty good feel of not only our product, but the other competing products and the other chemistries and technologies out there on what everything does now. So my chemistry is pretty strong, and that definitely gives us an advantage with our product and how we talk about it.
Awesome, man. I'm sure. I mean, I can still tell you know, when we're standing by you at the trade shows and you can hear the conversations that even still people are very reluctant to even try it out. They don't understand it.
Right.
You know, a lot of the older guys are definitely not into it.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, that's I think reality when you launch a new product. But
Do you go to every pool show?
I go to as many as I can. I go to all the majors.
How many major? What was there, like 5 a year?
I
Maybe?
know there's
4?
it's like 10.
Oh, 10?
I mean, there's at least, and there's
Worldwide or just in this country?
in our country, yeah.
so you got the International, you got Long Beach. What other ones do you go to?
Southwest, which is Texas.
Okay.
In Texas. There's the Northeast show. It's in, what is it?
Atlantic City.
Atlantic City. The Mid-America show in the Midwest. There's a few others. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but yeah.
Which
there's
show gives PoolRx the most love?
We all of them do. You know, really, we're very strong in all the Sun Belt states. The East Coast still is. We're a little bit. You know, we've really targeted for years. California is probably our biggest market. Florida is a big market. Arizona, Nevada are growing. Texas is growing rapidly. That's probably the fastest growing market for us. We've hired over this evolution of PoolRx. We did a lot of this in-house. We had in-house reps, and then we realized, hey, we need to go. We're big enough now where we need to go and hire rep companies. So we have Alpha West. They handle the Western region. I think they have 9 people. We have Stellar Sales in Texas. They have 5 people. We have Seni Sales in Florida. Seni is in the Southeast, and they have 3. And then we have Advanced Aqua in Florida. Greg Graham and Jose are there. And then we also have ProMark Group up in the Northeast. So,
nice.
we have, I think about 19, I think we have 20 reps in the field that are, they're learning our product. Some of these guys are very familiar with it.
Yeah.
Some of these guys are new to us this year, and so they're kind of getting their feet wet with it. But we have enough of a following that these guys are getting the positive feedback. They're getting, they're learning about our product even through people that have already used it. But they're really there to support us and to kind of help build that brand a little bit.
Okay,
That's
so
awesome.
if you have a rep, in Texas or whatever, somebody that's interested in the product or needs help, how you've helped brothers out, is that what they pretty much do? Is they get hooked up with a representative that can, if they have, does it matter the size of the business?
No, it doesn't matter. So, if these guys are doing tabletops, when, you go to a distributor to see a guy doing a tabletop, that's typically a sales representative for a particular line of products. And, for example, in Texas, when Stellar's there, they'll get a question from a guy that's just starting in the business, and he'll give them the information, and we'll go from there. As it develops, if they need to, they can always contact me. So I'm very hands-on. I have say over the entire sales organization. So I'm there to support them. So my cell phone's on my card, and everybody's got it, and I answer my phone all the time. But yeah, it's our reps that are really the front line of support and brand awareness for us, and it's been really successful. We have a great group of rep companies, real professional, and it just does us it's an advantage for us because they have their own relationships. They're very professional. They do what they're supposed to be doing, and so it's nice to be connected with those companies that I mentioned. Real fortunate.
Yeah, so I've met a couple of the Alpha West boys, and they're really good, man. They're not too pushy, and just give me some catalogs, and if you need anything, they know that we have a good relationship with you, so they're not trying to overstep or anything. And I think that's cool. They're doing a good job.
No, absolutely. No, I appreciate that. Good to hear.
So you meet the owner, you start, building and doing all that stuff. Did it take when did you start exactly? What year did you start?
That's a good question. I need to look at my LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
8 years ago.
Yeah, I think it was eight years ago, if I remember right. But yeah, so again, I had a passion for building the brand and tracking down new business and sharing this message. Right, it feels good. This is a company where, unlike my past company, Triton Technologies, where we were manufacturing a piece of plastic that was manufactured overseas, and we were putting on kids' head, and they're putting them in front of video games, which I'm kind of anti in my own house because I'd rather get the kids out playing in the streets, doing something.
Right.
So I was kind of like, I had this like inside feeling like this isn't the best thing long term.
Yeah, you weren't passionate about it.
Yeah, I mean, I was passionate about building the business, but then I'm like, this isn't really helping anybody.
Sure.
Right. So then I went to this opportunity and I found how much this product is helping service guys and changing the businesses and changing their lives.
Yep.
I mean, I get phone calls yearly by saying, hey, thank you for introducing me to PoolRx. This thing is the best. I wish I would have known about this years ago. I'm more profitable and I'm spending less time with these pools. Everyone's happy. I'm building my route up. And so for me, as I heard that story, it just gave me a better feeling of, I'm helping people. And I enjoy sharing that message with the population. Anytime that you can, introduce somebody to something that they're a little bit hesitant on, but then it has such a positive effect on them and their business and their family. It feels good, man. It really feels good. It makes you feel like you're doing something right. So that's really my passion. It feels good to help other people. So that's why, I see me being with this company and helping grow this thing for many years to come, because it's really enjoyable.
Nice.
Yeah, I think you're in a good place because, we don't really plug too many companies, and we're not being paid to say this, but of all the things that we use, we are probably most thankful for PoolRx because it has changed our business at Brothers. It definitely makes the swimming pools a lot easier to take care of. They don't use as much chlorine tabs or shock and different things like that. There's so many things behind it, and it's just a wonderful product, and
it's really...
you're really a part of something great.
Yeah, I feel fortunate to be part of it, and it's exciting to see. We're just, I feel like we're just getting started. There's so many people that still don't know about the product, or that still are hesitant because of their inability on the chemistry to understand the chemistry and what makes us unique.
So before we get into how we use PoolRx, why don't you kind of just explain what PoolRx is exactly?
So PoolRx is a 6-month algicide and chemical reducer. It's a proprietary blend of minerals. We use copper sulfate pentahydrate. There's also some zinc in the product, some other proprietary minerals. The uniqueness of our product compared to anybody else out there is really the way we chelate it. The chelating process is what sets us apart. That's the real, true proprietary nature of our product. That's why you don't see other PoolRx products out there. There's no, real copycats of this product because of how we chelate it. And the chelation is really what protects the mineral at a molecular level, so it doesn't fall out and stay in your pool due to overoxidation or any kind of pH fluctuations. So that's really the secret sauce, is really the way that we chelate it. People have been using copper for centuries to keep water potable, to keep it, algae free. So using copper is not unique, but the way that we are adding the right amount of minerals to the water at the right time, and that the minerals are chelated, those are kind of the uniqueness of our product, and also the fact that as the mineral passes back over this alloy that we have, there's a reaction with the mineral in the water and this alloy to keep those minerals effective for up to 6 months. So really what we are, we're an EPA registered algicide. And it's a one-time use for 4 to 6 months based on the beta loading conditions of the pool. It'll last you typically 4 to 6 months. And then after the mineral is used up, you can add additional mineral we call a booster. And that's just the same mineral that's in the unit originally, and you just pour that into the skimmer or pump basket. The mineral content gets back up in the pool, and you have another 4 to 6 months of algae-free, reduced chemical usage. The nice thing about the product is, it saves you money because you're not using the phosphate removers anymore. You don't worry about phosphates. Phosphates are food for algae. If there's no algae in the water, it doesn't matter how much phosphate's in the water. Phosphates do not consume chlorine. Algae consumes chlorine. So if we're eliminating the algae and preventing the algae from growing, that's going to actually free up your chlorine to be more available in the water. So you're able to use less. So it's really a chemical savings story along with being an algicide. And it's really a lot of people are using it for their problem pools, but the smarter companies are realizing, shoot, if it works in my problem pools, imagine what this thing can do in my normal pools, how much I can really back off, my chemical usage. And that's really where people are changing their routes because they're introducing it to everybody and putting it in every pool and saving themselves on time and money at the pool. So that's kind of the basics of it.
Yeah. And can you just maybe go over, which products you guys have available right now?
We have PoolRx, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, but you have like the blue unit.
Yeah. So we have different sizes. So it's all the same product. We can support from a 100-gallon fountain or spa up to millions of gallon water parks or fountains, that kind of stuff. So it's really any size body of water we can support. The yellow unit handles 100 to 400 gallons. The black spa unit handles 400 to 1,000 gallons. The blue PoolRx unit handles 7,500 to 20,000 gallons. It's our most popular. And then we have the black PoolRx unit is 20 to 30,000 gallons. And then for larger pools in 30,000, we have the PoolRx booster, which is supporting another 7,500 to 20,000 gallons. So within the blue, the black, and the booster, you can pretty much get to any size you need to support. We also do have a commercial unit that is starting. We recommend starting that commercial unit at 150,000 gallons. That commercial unit does not have any minerals packed inside of it. You'd have to use our 10-pound bucket of mineral to dose the pool according to gallons. And that 10-pound bucket for commercial pools, is it has 4 2.5-pound bags, and each 2.5-pound bag supports 75,000 gallons worth of water. So that bucket supports 300,000 gallons worth of water. And that's on the commercial side. Again,
so what is it? Is there a bigger copper alloy for those?
Yeah. So the copper is actually in the granular mineral. The alloy, it's a bigger alloy cylinder. Correct. It is. Like I said, it's not packed with the minerals. We get some people that get confused on that. But then you have the actual mineral formulation, the granular mineral that's in that bucket, and then you dose the pool accordingly to that.
But it's a larger alloy then, right?
Larger alloy, yeah. It's all about having the right amount of minerals based on the gallons, and then also having enough alloy to help to rejuvenate those minerals during the circulation process. And we do have a sizing chart that kind of outlines all that as far as recommendations. Each pump room is different. People, sometimes they have, one 7.5 or 10 horsepower pump. Sometimes they have, 3 pumps in succession, 3 2-horsepower pumps. So depending on what your pump room looks like as you get to larger bodies of water will depend on what you need to put in, to support that pool.
Yeah. And this is a safe product, right? Because I know we get asked a lot, especially this time of year. We're putting the PoolRx's in each one of our pools. And when we sign somebody up at the initial bid, they have to put in either the blue or black PoolRx. And they always ask, like, is this safe for my pool?
Sure.
Like, do I have to wait a week? Is it going to turn my hair yellow or white or whatever?
Sure. Yeah. So, PoolRx has been NSF 60 certified in the past, and that's NSF 60 certification is actually a drinking water storage standard. It's even higher than the NSF 50 standard, which is the pool standard. So as far as safety goes, PoolRx, when used as directed, is safer to use than just about anything else out there, especially high levels of chlorine. So as far as safety goes, yes, it's completely safe for you, your pets, your birds, whatever. You wouldn't want to use it with fish. Fish and mammals react differently to chlorine and minerals compared to, people, birds, pets. So.
Yeah, I know. I just lost all my koi fish. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
That's on you.
Somebody out there did.
So you idiot. So next question we kind of have is, we know that, you guys pitch this as being good for salt pools as well. What are the benefits to having the PoolRx in a salt pool?
Yeah. So salt pools, typically are, they're producing high pH chlorine, and salt pools, they say don't use copper in a salt pool because they're producing a pH of about 13 coming off the salt cell, and that's going to push the copper out of the solution, right, and stay in your pool. With PoolRx, because like I mentioned earlier, our chelation method, the uniqueness of that and the strength of that is that it's protecting those minerals from any kind of fallout due to high pH or over-oxidation. So number one is it's safe to use. It's not going to stain your pool, especially on a salt pool. That's important. Number two is...
When you're saying not use copper, you're referring to like not copper algicides
Right.
with salt pools because
Right.
it reacts and makes it will stain the walls.
Right. The non-chelated copper, natural, the cheaper copper algicides on the market, that are, I'm sorry, the less expensive algicides on the market, that they're non-chelated, people are very wary of those. And that's kind of a barrier for people that have used a copper product in the past, and they relate this non-chelated algicide to PoolRx, and we're just two different animals.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, so it's two different products, and that's where we get that's kind of the lack of knowledge that we have to start educating people on. But
I know we were always really worried about it. We've only used like silver algicides. We don't use
Right.
copper algicides before we use PoolRx.
right,
So we use very few other algicides at all now. But
Yeah.
if we do, it's silver. But I mean,
Right.
that's
so as far as that goes, it's safe to use. And number two is, like I mentioned earlier, the minerals are eliminating algae and preventing algae from growing. Even the stuff you can't see, there's microalgae that's growing in your pool that you can't even see that's consuming your chlorine. Well, now that that's not there, that chlorine's more available in the water. So you're able to turn down typically the salt generator by about 50%, and still maintain that same chlorine you're producing, which is it's a huge benefit, because if you're producing less high pH chlorine, you're also able to use less acid to balance it, which is going to be beneficial to the person that's maintaining the pool. So the other part of that is that if you're generating less, that's going to prolong the life of your equipment, as well as there's some zinc in our product. It's a natural descaler. And we're not selling this product as a descaling product, but what this does is the zinc prevents the scale from attaching as easily to the salt cell. So you're not going to have to clean your salt cell as frequently. So again, less generation time, less production, less cleaning of the salt cell is going to prolong the life of the salt cell. So that's a benefit to the homeowner or to the provider. And again, you kind of have this backup. The minerals are always working for you in the water, right? That there's like this insurance policy that no matter what happens with your bather load, and you have a big party and it sucks up all your chlorine, and you go without chlorine for a few days, until you get back there as a service company, you're just not going to have any algae in the water. Eventually, with no chlorine, it'll start getting a little cloudy, but you're just not going to have any algae blooms. So that's a big benefit to the salt customer.
Yeah, that was a question we had later too about the insurance policy, because I heard you mention that before, and I think we definitely believe that's true, because there's been several pools that we have that have old water, and where your customers aren't always like super open with you about their parties and
Right.
different things, show up to the pool, and you got, party cups and all this stuff in the water, and the water will be almost green,
Right.
if you don't have PoolRx in the water.
Right.
But I think we've noticed over the last couple of years using it on a consistent basis that when those situations happen, when a pump goes down, when situations arise that you can't, foresee, then the PoolRx has definitely saved us
Right.
quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's one of the many benefits of it, and that's also the benefit of, even putting it in a good pool that you typically don't have problems with, is that you're backing off on those other chemicals, so you're saving yourself money, and then you also have that insurance policy, which is invaluable.
So, Fred, we've heard you, talk about this a few times, that the PoolRx can really help with the problem pools. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. So problem pools are problems for several reasons, but the most common reason is from high cyanuric. A lot of people are using tablet chlorine. Tablets are about 53 to 55% cyanuric acid. And so the more you're using tabs, tabs are great. They're like a 2.8 pH and a very low pH, highly available chlorine, great product. And we love tabs, but the downside is the high cyanuric. And so as the cyanuric grows or goes higher and higher in the pool, it slows down the speed at which the chlorine kills anything. The sweet spot, normally is between like 20 to 50 part per million. As it goes above, 40, 50 parts per million of cyanuric in the water, it slows down the ORP, the oxidation reduction potential, and it's actually slowing down the speed at which the chlorine kills anything. So the higher that cyanuric goes in the water, the slower the chlorine is to act. And so what happens is the contaminants, the algae, the bacteria, the other contaminants in the pool are growing faster than the chlorine can kill them. So you may have, a 5 parts per million chlorine reading in your pool, but if your cyanuric's at 200 parts per million, it's not acting like 5 parts per million. It's acting more like 1 part per million. And so that's where you're running into these problem pools, typically because of high cyanuric and typically really old water.
Yeah, so kind of like a chlorine lockout, basically, and then it's less effective.
Right. And so what's nice about PoolRx is in those high cyanuric environments, we only need 0.5 parts per million of chlorine, free available chlorine, to be working in the pool for our product to work as directed or as advertised. The low amount of chlorine is necessary. It helps to break down the cell wall of the organism so the PoolRx minerals can go in and eliminate it. It also helps to clarify the water and eliminate the organics. So we do need a little bit of chlorine in the water. And that's again where,
as does everybody.
in high cyanuric environments, that again is if we're eliminating the algae and preventing it from growing, that's where we're saving guys and keeping these pools algae free and clear, even with that slow acting chlorine that's in the water because of the high cyanuric. So that's where it's great, for these problem pools. There is, however, you have to be aware of your adjusted alkalinity calculation. And I always like to preface this because as much as it's not just your magic bullet that you can just drop into any situation, you still have to be aware of your alkalinity. With PoolRx and high cyanuric environment, you have to do, if your cyanuric is above 100, we request that you do an adjusted alkalinity calculation. And what that takes into account is, and that's available on our website, it's in our catalog, then our catalogs are all over, in every distributor you can find, and it's in the What You Should Know section in our catalog. And we give you the adjusted alkalinity calculation. And that takes into account the cyanuric number. So you test for cyanuric, and you use that number in this calculation. And what that does, because cyanuric does affect alkalinity, and so what that does is it keeps you in balance. And when your pH and alkalinity are in balance, and your cyanuric can be off the charts. As long as your water's in balance, you're going to be fine. However,
yeah, let's talk about that elephant in the room, because a lot of the posts really start. A lot of the reaction we get when we post about PoolRx, on Brothers and is like, yeah, be careful. Got that white dust, or not white dust. I'm sorry. Purple. You get a lot of the purple dust,
right?
And that,
yeah,
everybody. I think that's the number one response that people are afraid of getting.
Yeah.
And I think, you can explain how we avoid doing that.
Sure, and that's kind of where I was leading to. But what that is, the purple dust is called copper cyanurate, and what that is that the cyanuric acid, water wants to keep itself in balance, and whatever is in excess in the water. When the water gets out of balance, it'll push that out. And so when you have high cyanuric levels and your pH and alkalinity get out of balance, that cyanuric can actually fall out of solution, and it can coagulate and combine with the copper mineral in the water, and it turns into copper cyanurate. And that copper cyanurate is the purple dust you're talking about. And you can brush that up, you can try and vacuum it up, but it's not going to go away until you dilute the water and get your water back in balance. So you got to bring down that cyanuric number, and you also got to get your water back in balance to eliminate that. If it stays there long enough in the pool, that purple dust can stick to scale, calcium buildup. You'll see it on the hoses. You'll see it, anywhere that you see scale, you can see it stick there.
Yeah, calcium
eventually.
tile line.
Yeah. If it sits there long enough, it can stick there. But again, to avoid that, it's not really the boogeyman. It's not really you can call it the elephant, but it's pretty simple to avoid with a simple calculation, of, okay, where's my cyanuric? And then let me make sure that my alkalinity is adjusted based on that cyanuric number.
I think you just need to be educated, right?
Yeah, and it's not really hard. We sell all over the country, and yes, we love people using this product because it's saving them water changes. It's saving them from it's prolonging the water life because you're not having to use as many tabs in the first place. But even in tough condition pools, it's really saving people. But at the same time, there is, everything has its limits. Well, it's water chemistry. It has nothing to do with anything except, some basic water chemistry rules that you have to really abide by, no matter what. So,
yeah, I mean, we put it in like 275 pools or something last year and had one of those.
Yeah, there's a couple, and, to speak of that, there's a couple other things to be aware of. We are adding copper to the water. It is chelated, so we are adding to the copper saturation index. So if in markets that you have old copper plumbing or an old copper heater, a heat exchange where it could be leaching copper into the water, you want to test for copper first before putting PoolRx in. Arizona, mostly it's new builds. You don't run into a lot of that. There's not really a lot of well water where you're seeing a lot of copper in the water, so you don't see that in Arizona where Brothers is. But other parts of the country where I'm sure people will be listening to this podcast, so you're going to want to, if you're at 0.2 parts per million or less, which is like the second lowest on the test strip or on your reagent test equipment, 0.2 parts per million or less, you're okay to use PoolRx. If you're above 0.2, we recommend addressing that copper in the water first. The thing about that is, we don't want you to get to a saturation point. The PoolRx mineral is chelated and it will not come out of solution, but it is filling up the water, and that non-chelated copper that is now more susceptible to fallout due to overoxidation or pH fluctuation because of a saturation point. So test for copper first if you're in a market that has a copper problem. And again, if you have algae in your pool, you don't have copper you don't have a copper problem in your pool, right? So there's likely, if you see algae in your pool, don't worry about testing for the copper.
Sure.
It's not in there. But
is there a product you recommend to bring down the copper?
Yeah, we do. The best product is See You Later by Periodic Products, and it's a polymer bag that drops in the skimmer, and it physically pulls metals out of the water. And unlike a sequestering agent that holds minerals in solution and slowly filters them out, this physically, within 30 days, you can go from a 4 part per million copper, 4 parts. I'm not saying 0.4, I'm saying 4 parts. It's 100 times more than 0.4. You can go from a 4 part per million to a 0 in 30 days with that product. Oh, wow. And so it physically pulls metals out of the water. It pulls copper, pulls iron, pulls manganese, several different metals out of the water. So it's really a unique product on the market that we highly recommend. That's the only product on the market, in fact, that will take our mineral out of the water.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you need to put that in before, right?
Exactly. So use the See You Later before using PoolRx, and if you have metal problems in the water. Any other sequestering agents will not affect our product. Those are, I do recommend if you have, other metals in the water, sequestering agents are great. No problem with that. You're not going to be affecting, ours is already it's already chelated or sequestered, so it's not going to affect our product. We don't need a sequestering agent when using PoolRx. It's not necessary, but to have an additional insurance policy against metals in your water, a sequestering agent is great.
So Fred, we've heard people on social media and just you talking at shows and things like that to not use sodium bromide before adding the PoolRx. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, sure. So sodium bromide really burns everything out of the water, and it burns the chlorine out of the water, burns everything out of the water. So it's kind of like a reset button. The problem with sodium bromide, it also leaves a bromine residual in the water, which makes things difficult when you're testing for chlorine and trying to keep your water balanced. So if you're using sodium bromide in your pool, you want to wait like 2 weeks before using PoolRx, because it will affect our product as well. So it'll affect how it works in the pool and also the longevity. So as long as you wait 2 weeks, you're good to go with using PoolRx. Again, you're not going to need to use sodium bromide anymore when you're using PoolRx. a lot of people are using that product. We see a lot of that in the Texas market, but people use it to try and clear up a pool, right? Our product, can get you from green to clear in typically 24 to 48 hours. And we're able to do that with half the cost of what a sodium bromide and excessive shock will do compared to our product and a low residual chlorine. So you're just not going to have to use the sodium bromide anymore. If you have a green pool, you go by our PoolRx directions on how to clear up a green pool, and you're good to go. So yeah, again, however, if you've been using sodium bromide every week for years, a couple ounces or whatever you're doing, just give it a couple weeks and then start with PoolRx. You'll be fine.
What's up, guys? We hope you're enjoying the episode so far. There has been a lot of information so far, and there's more to come. So when we get back, we will jump into the crazy pool that made us full 100% believers in the product. We will talk about how we use it as a preventative in all of our pools and how we introduce that to our customers and bill them for it, which is part of, the good, better, best part of PoolRx's method. And, we will talk also about how PoolRx affects different types of filters and what you should do, what process you should do with each different filter. So there's a lot of good stuff to come. And I just want to read a review from one of our customers real quick. This review comes from Jason with Freedom Pools. What's going on, Jason? Thank you so much for your review. His review states, I started listening to this podcast a couple of weeks ago and have listened to and enjoyed every episode. I have 15 years in the industry and have gone to hundreds of trainings and workshops. I am still learning every day. I have been able to learn something from every episode to help me improve as a builder, business owner, entrepreneur, father, and husband. Thanks, guys, for doing this podcast to help elevate and educate the industry. You're welcome, Jason. We truly agree with you, and we're so excited that this podcast has been helping people. It's truly humbling for us, and we love to hear your guys' stories and talk with you guys because we're in the same boats as you. We're true fans of the industry, and we love learning stuff every day, and it's just been such a blessing to be here. It's just been such an honor for us to be around all of these good and honest, hardworking, people in the industry. So I just want to talk about subscriptions real quick. If you guys have not subscribed to the podcast, please do so. This sends you an alert every time a new episode comes out so you can listen to them right away. We truly appreciate your guys' support, and let's jump right into it after word from our sponsor.
What's going on, everybody? This episode is brought to you by Jobber. Jobber is by far our favorite tool for collecting deposits, payments, scheduling customer jobs, and assigning tasks to a specific person on our team. If you're looking for a better way to stay organized, this is it. I don't even know how we did things before Jobber. If you have any questions, their customer service team is out of this world. Jobber is so cool that they are hooking up all of our listeners with a free 14-day trial. Just visit getjobber.com/poolchasers. That's getjobber.com/poolchasers. Try it out. We promise you won't be disappointed.
So I push that back on you. So, seeing is believing with PoolRx and clearing up a green pool. So you guys have the experience, and you guys maybe can give a little feedback to the listener.
Yeah, definitely. I know we heard about PoolRx for a little while, but a couple years ago, we ran into this situation where we took this account on. It was green when we took it on, but we started putting some chemicals in the pool. We were backwashing it. It was a sand filter. And it was like slowly trying to turn, but then it would go back green, and we could not figure this out. I mean, we did a sand change like right on the spot. You know what I mean? We were doing all this different type of stuff, and we could not figure it out. And we struggled with this pool for a while.
And when we mean like chemicals, it was like 10 pounds of like dichlor shock.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like not just, well, we tried our regular green to clean process first. That didn't work. Then we tried like 10 pounds of dichlor shock. That didn't work. And then we jumped into a regular sand. We did like an immediate sand change like on the spot.
Because we're like, dude, it's got to be the filter, man. Like, I don't know what else it could be. And this filter wasn't even really that old. No. We just figured that, it could have been some busted laterals or something at the bottom. They had a pet, maybe some dog hair clogged up, some of the sand. But
yeah, it was on the border. It was like 3.5 years old. So,
yeah,
around the time you do 3 to 5 years for the sand change. But yeah, man, that didn't do nothing.
For some reason, I think we had a PoolRx at the shop or something like that we had maybe picked up from the show or
just
something.
It's a free one.
And we're like, dude, why don't we try this out? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just curious, this thing is kind of made for, green pools and the salt pools and all this different stuff. Why don't we give it a shot? So we did, this pool is still jacked, you know what I mean? And we did a real solid backwash on it, just as recommended. We put this thing in, and I think we got like an email or something like the next day, and was like, hey, thanks guys, pool looks great. And we're like, that can't be the
That's
right,
not the right guy, right?
No, that can't be the right person.
So
then we're looking, and we're just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And
so I think what happened is we did it on a Friday, right? Because we had messed with it the whole week. So Monday through Friday, we were at that pool every day, messing with it, trying to get it to turn blue. We had talked about basically like this PoolRx is the last thing, and then we're draining it.
Right.
So it was done. Like, this is it. So we had I think it was the free one that you gave us at the show, and we threw it in there on a Friday, and then I think it was like Sunday morning. We got an email. It was like, oh man, the water's blue, and we were like, what?
Dude,
Like,
actually,
there's
we don't.
No way.
We don't work on weekends, and I think we
Yeah.
went out there because I was like,
Yeah.
dude, there's no way in hell that pool cleared up. There's no way.
Yeah.
And we were talking about, we're like, dude, if that pool's clear when we get there, like, PoolRx is it.
This is it.
Like, this is it. So, sure enough, we went there, and that pool was freaking clear as day.
Yep.
And it has never turned back. Like, and we never changed the water. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But it changed that, and
Yeah.
that was it, man. That made us
Yeah.
believers for sure.
We know a lot more about the product now, but I mean, at that point, we were believers, even though we still didn't fully know. But we're just like, dude, this
Yeah.
is insane.
Yeah, that's a pretty common, not it's a common story I hear, and it's great to hear. It makes me feel good, obviously, because you guys are like helped you. And then number two is it kind of opened your eyes, right? It's like, if this thing can work like this, imagine what it can do as a preventative, right? And so that's kind of where you guys have evolved to, and so you've tried it in the problem pools. It blew your minds, and then you're like, shoot, I got to use this as a preventative product. And
let's get into that real quick, because I think a lot of companies truly sleep on the preventative side of it. So, I mean, what it can do, I mean, from our standpoint, and you can talk about it more since you're the expert on it, but I mean, we have really noticed a difference. And like you talked about the microalgae in the water, and I think it really has helped. We dropped our tab usage from an average of 5 a pool to down to 3 last season. Our, Cal Hypo shock dropped dramatically as well. It was a little bit of I don't want to say struggle, but a little bit of a task to get our team to kind of understand, hey, like, you really don't need to use that many tabs, like, and their mentality. Yes, I do. The pool's going to turn green. No, you don't. Like, so it took, and I think this season's going to be even better for us, but it took months for us to get our guys to be like, oh, we want to see how this actually really works. So let's drop it down more. And if you come back the next week and your chlorine's dramatically lower, then put another one in. So we went down from average of 5 to 2 to 3 a pool.
Yeah, that's really that's because it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, and as the chemistry is working. But you're right, it is a learning process. You have to educate your guys to put in less and trust the product.
Yeah.
These guys don't. The last thing they need is a phone call from one of the customers on their route that says, "Hey, my pool's turning on me. What the hell?" Right. So they're at the same time, though, they don't realize that every tab they put in, every pound of shock they put in, that's money. On your bottom line as a business owner. So, the more you can train those guys and get these guys to trust the product and back off what you're doing, you got to make the product work for you. If you continue to put in the same amount of stuff, you're not saving yourself any money, and you're really not doing the customer any favors. By being able to use less tabs, if you think about it, you're able to prolong that water life, and the chlorine that you do have in the pool is going to be working better because your cyanuric level isn't going up as quickly. And again, it comes back to that cyanuric problem, which is one of the biggest problems in the industry. But you're able to use less tabs, and that's gonna keep your cyanuric at a good level.
Less everything. I mean, You're talking about tabs, shock. We do use, some phosphate remover still in the really tough pools, because I think it still helps a little bit, on those ones that have crazy trees around it. But I mean, our phosphate remover dramatically dropped. We don't use other algicides.
Right.
That was $30, $40, $50 every time we had to drop a bottle of algicide.
Sure.
That dramatically dropped. So, I mean, it's been a really lifesaver, man.
Yeah. It's neat. The preventative side is really where people evolve to, and everyone's like, well, how do I sell this thing to my customer? And that's if you look at our catalog, I know I've gone through it with you guys, over the years of teaching people that, okay, well, if I tell my customer I'm going to be using less chlorine and I'm going to be saving on all these chemicals, are they going to ask me for a discount on my weekly? And the answer is no. It actually costs them more to prolong that water life, to have healthier, cleaner water with less chemicals. So it's an advantage to the customer because they're swimming in less chemicals and their water is going to last longer. And it's an advantage to you because obviously you're going to spend less time at the pool and less money at the pool. But the way to sell this, there's several ways to sell this. And on our website, PoolRx.com, if you're a pool professional or you have a pool company, you can actually register with us. And all we'd ask for is your basic information. It's nothing except we just want to make sure you're a pool professional, so you can access the pool professional side of our website. And then we email you back a password. And under the pool professional tab, you can go to the customizable offer letters. And those customizable offer letters there's 5 pre-written letters. Each one you can open up. It's all written. They're all written a little differently. We have a short version, a long version, a one for salt pools. We have one for, different conditions. And what you can do on that when you open these letters up is you can actually customize them. It just opens up in Word, the Word program on your computer, and you can customize them based on who the customer is, what price point you want to sell it at. If you don't like how we worded something, you can erase that and put your own wording in there. And then what you do is you save that, and then you can email it to your customer, or you can print it out and put it in your billing. And that's been a great way to help people to message it to their customer base so they can offer PoolRx to everyone on their route. The other thing you can do is kind of copy and paste certain sentences or bullet points you like and make your own. But again, the key, and this is kind of covered in our PoolRx method, which is also in our catalog, and it's also under our training videos. But the key is if you could find a way to implement PoolRx and sell it to your entire customer base, even for the price you paid for it, or if you can make a little bit of profit on it on the front end, you're passing along the cost to your customer, and you're saving yourself so much on the back end for the product that it saves you money, and it's good for both you and the customer.
For sure. I want to touch base a little bit on how you said the customer won't ask you to drop their price down, because I think all that is great stuff, but I think there is sometimes pushback.
Yeah, there's a definite fear factor there, but again, if you say, look, we're PoolRx, we may be able to reduce your chlorine demand. That's a case-by-case basis.
Well, I think in our case, I think what you
chlorine's a low cost of, that's a very low, there's a low cost there.
Sure.
They're not paying for the chlorine. They're paying for you to be there, to do the work, test their water, keep their equipment in order, keep their water balanced. That's what they're paying for you. They're not just paying for the chlorine.
That's what I was getting at too, because I think the way to pitch it is definitely not using less chemicals. I think when we talk about it, and you can Greg, maybe talk about it more the way you pitch it to a customer at the bid.
So
the insurance,
I have no problem pitching this to customers anymore. And I really don't get to that point unless I see that they're struggling with what I'm getting at. And we really go through, because it's in our service agreement, that we put this in once a year, every April. It's going to, eliminate algae. It's going to clear up the pool water. And just go over all of that. So if they're cool with that, they're like, oh yeah, sounds good. Then we leave it at that. There's no reason to keep moving that conversation on.
Yeah, no, I was kind of saying that the original pushback from a service professional is saying, well, you're preaching about all this reduction in chemicals. And so their fear is, well, how am I going to sell this to my customer? And that is what you have to overcome that as a business owner, and realize the other benefits of PoolRx just besides the chemical reduction. And there's several benefits, and the biggest one is it's your insurance policy. The minerals are always working in the pool. You're there once a week, but these minerals are always working for us, even when we can't be there, even when your bather load fluctuates or the gardener comes in and blows a bunch of stuff into your pool. And so the minerals are always there working for us as an insurance policy, and you're never going to have algae this season. And that's really, a very simple way to message it. But again, guys, you can get it around. There's highly recommend going to our website and checking out these different letters and how we've presented it, because it's not only that, but it's also, hey, your pool hasn't been drained in 5 years. Your cyanuric levels at close to 200. We're at a point where we're at diminishing returns. We can't just keep dumping chemicals in your pool.
Right.
You have to take some responsibility here. So there's a lot of different ways based on the conditions of that pool and that customer that you can message this to the customer. And ultimately, if you're selling it for $65 or $75, that's going to be the best money they spent the whole season.
Yeah.
And once they see the benefits of the product, they're going to be like, shoot, I shouldn't even have questioned you on this.
Yeah.
But you gotta turn up that experience. I've been around, a lot of people and even some guys that used to work for us, and they were so smart and so good, but they could not pitch the products. And what I mean by that is, we were talking about this yesterday, where you show up to the house and you're seeing that they're a veteran. You're seeing that, they like these colors, they like the sports team and all this. And you're just being sincere and you're having a real conversation and you're building that relationship and you're bringing that wall down. And when you do that, you're talking about all these other things. So you're really bringing value and you're explaining that this is your skimmer, this is your weir door's broken, and that's why this is important. Your light isn't working. You're going through all these different things. And once we get through all that and we tell them what we do, we have a great team. We have these reviews, we skim, we brush, we do all this. You bring them all this value and everything that you're giving to them, and that guard is already down. Right. And then you go into the prices where it's, we do have automatic, payment that we do at the first of the month. We do have a service agreement. This is what's inside the service agreement, where we do the filter cleans every 6 months, and we have the mineral treatment. And that is so important because of this. And by the time I've gotten to that point, 99% of the time, like, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they already feel comfortable enough where they're like, you are the professional. There's been a lot of customers that have already signed off on you, and you're giving me that experience. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's really what it's all about, where you really need to fine tune. I don't even want to say your sales game, but that's really what it is you have to give them that experience. If you own a business, especially service and repair, you have to give them that. Don't waste your time. Don't go out there and just, it's going to be this and that. You're wasting your time. You want to go out there and you have to be passionate about it.
You got to believe in it. And that's the other nice thing, is that once you get it in the water, it actually it's so effective, and it builds up your credibility.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because what you've done is you've tried to sell something to someone that they didn't trust you at first. And then once it gets in the water, it works so well. They're like, I trust this guy more now. Yeah. Because it just built your own credibility up. And that's a big benefit.
And it really makes the water pop, man.
Oh,
Sometimes
yeah.
you go in the backyard last year when we put them on, I'm like, man. Like, after the pool guy goes and cleans it, it's like, one of our guys, they're awesome and they get it all clean. And then we go back there, if we do the checkup or something, and we whew, man, I want to jump in this thing,
Dude, my pool was straight out of a cartoon, dude. It was it was blinding. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
It had a sparkle in it, and I'm like, damn.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But it's really cool, and you gotta, if it's something you really want to do, the thing works. And I don't know every market. We're very lucky to be in Scottsdale, because there's a lot of pools and there's a lot of, fortunate people to have, money to be able to afford, that mineral treatment. But if we're in a market where, they didn't have as much money or whatever the case may be, I would just be doing it anyway.
Yeah,
I'd maybe be just kind of have, the monthly fee be $5-10 more.
Yeah.
And it would be a free add-on.
Yeah, that's kind of the good, better, best. If you refer to our PoolRx method, when you look that up or try and track that down, is the good is, buy the product, put it in, don't even charge your customer, save yourself on the back end. The better is buy the product, charge your customer for the cost of the product that you bought it from distribution at. And then the best, obviously, is to buy the product and then mark it up, to your customers, so you're making some money on the front end. Sure. And then you're also saving yourself on the back end. So that's kind of our good, better, best PoolRx method.
Yep.
And then we also, along those lines, just to hit on this really quickly, is we do have a savings calculator. And this is a great tool for you to use to assess your own business with or without PoolRx. And what this is basically a pretty souped up Excel document that's on our website, and you can open it up and you can plug in your own numbers of what products you're spending, what you're using, how much your products cost, and it does a full calculation on how many pools you have, how many salt pools you have. you can put it in all the different months you're using these products. And so it really gives you a better assessment to know exactly how much you're spending a year. And then it, of course, gives you the PoolRx method at the bottom, where you can plug in, how much you buy a PoolRx for and how many you're putting in. And that's going to show you the savings you can get by using our product. So again, with or without our product, I would recommend checking out the savings calculator if you're a business owner and you're looking to, keep an eye on your finances.
That's awesome. I've had lots of conversations with you, and I didn't even know about that. So
Yeah.
I didn't know about that. That's super cool.
So Tyler, how do you guys actually bill your customers, or how do you guys introduce it to your customers?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we get this question a lot, and we've gone full 100% believers, man. It's not like Greg said earlier. We don't get paid to say it. We put in every pool, but what we do is we have about 3/4 of our customers on credit cards on file. That was actually one of the biggest and greatest moves we ever did. So if you guys don't do that, I would highly recommend doing that, because we bill on the first, get that money. It helps us, pay our guys, helps us pay for chemicals. It's a very good thing. So we pre-bill the month. And so what we do is we take initiative in March. We send out an email to everybody with our current literature that we created. It's, it uses some of your guys' sentences, but we kind of lighten it up a little bit to where it's more pitches it as it keeps your pool algae free. It makes the water more clear. And I think a big part of what we put in there is we put about the green pools. And if your pool turns green, this is the process. You're looking at 3 to 4 days of not swimming. You're looking at $100 to $200 in chemicals. And, if it's our fault, we would obviously fix it. But if it's something that the elements, or they're over bather load, or their parties, you're looking at, $100 to $200 and not being able to swim your pool for a week, and especially in Arizona. I don't know how it is around the other countries, but it takes us good 3 days to get a pool back to swimmable. We pitch out an email. Greg uses MailChimp to do that, and we kind of track that, analyze it, and we see who's actually opened it. So then we go through it again, and we say, okay, well, these 200 people opened it, these 90 didn't, so let's resend the email to these 90 people. So that way we are getting our customers' attention with everybody. So we put it, now that we do this every April, just a reminder, hey, this is what's going to happen, and it's going to be on your bill the first of the month. And the first year we pitched it as kind of a option, and we let them, so we had about 30 people that didn't do it. And, we didn't want to just overwhelm our customers with another charge. So, that was fine. We told them, no worries, we'll do it. And then, but next year it's probably going to be put in as a staple into our service agreement. And now that's happened. So this year, when we did in March, we did that. And in April, we've made it mandatory now for majority of them to have it. So our guys go out in the field, they test it. If the cynaneric's super high, they don't put it in right away. We're going to go back out to those 10, 15 pools and retest them, make sure the pH and alkalinity are in balance before we just drop it in and get the purple dust. Don't want purple dust.
Nope. So easy to avoid, though.
For
easy
sure.
to avoid, yeah.
But we do make that extra effort, and go test that water again. We just we don't want to deal with that and have to drain pools for free and do all this stuff. And so the more educated you can be on the product, the better.
And it's made us much sharper. I know we didn't really touch on this, but it's made us much sharper in figuring out what pools we need to drain, because we were not as aggressive with that before. But since now it's if you don't put the PoolRx in, we don't take care of the pool. That's all there is to it. But it's made us really aggressive now, to where we are pretty much downloading all the data from our pools, because we have all the chemistry and data, so we can see which pools need to be drained. So now, when October hits, boom, our drain schedule for our customers is pretty crazy. PoolRx has really just helped us with that, because now we understand that to really get the best use of that product and the pools to be easier maintenance, we need to have good water every 4 years. PoolRx is going in, filter clean's done, sand change is done, backwashing, all the above. All of that stuff is going to make for a much better experience.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I hear that a lot. Is these customers, they bounce from one pool service to another, and a lot of those guys have been fired by their last pool company because their water's so old and they won't drain it.
Yep.
So eventually, you guys are in business, and it's like, this isn't a charity.
Yeah,
sure.
You're like, look, we're not even going to support you if we don't get this water changed. I mean, enough's
It's
enough.
got to be a give and take, and it has to
It's
be
not
that
our
way.
fault you bought a house with a pool. We're like, honestly,
For sure.
we're never jerks about it, but we'll say right to their face, it's like, you know what, we're probably not the best fit, because they're like, we're not doing all that. We're just, all we want is you to clean the pool and this and that. Like, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you want. You want us to do it for
The summer
$100 a
only.
month,
Yeah.
and you want us to go above and beyond. We're not doing that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, eventually, it's like I said earlier, it's the point of diminishing returns, where that cyanuric gets so high that you're going to have to keep your chlorine level at 10 parts per million just to keep it safe, and it's like that doesn't make any sense for you guys.
No,
you know,
it's not cost effective at all.
No.
And so anyway, we get back to so what we do is we use a Flow app basically, and on that Flow app, I broke it down to service day, technician, whether or not they had a card on file, was it approved. Then it goes, once that happens, so
Color,
the first
PoolRx.
color of the PoolRx, and then once that we run the billing on the first, that was about 3/4 of our customers, so those are technically paid for. So once that happens, we go and buy our big purchase from SEP, which is a real big purchase, and we put it through, and what we do is use that flow chart. So every time we'll take
Sticky notes.
take sticky notes, put the service day, the technician, and what color, and we staple all the bags, because the PoolRx comes in a bag, which is super convenient for that. So we just staple it to there, lay it all out in boxes, put the boxes out on the shelves and daily, and those go in. So at that point, after we're done with it, it goes in the technician's hand. What they have to do is they take the PoolRx, put it by the pump, take a picture of it, and upload that into the app, so we can know that it's
It's a
actually
confirmation
done.
that it went into the customer's
Nice.
pool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that way we have confirmation if the customer questions it, because we know it's a big deal for these customers to pay more money for things. We don't take that lightly, and we want to be able to prove that. And so we do. And then it goes through. Our service manager will then click a couple other flowchart buttons. Was it installed? Yes. Is there a picture? Yes. And then it's complete. But that flowchart, like, it takes a lot of work to do this. It's not just something we just go and drop in every pool.
Right.
We do it very
meticulous, in that you kind of have checks and balances, and so nothing falls through the cracks. That's a great way. That's an excellent strategy.
Because we have to be accountable for it, and we have a reputation here, and we're not going to kill our reputation because of something so silly.
For sure.
Because we charge them for this mineral treatment. They deserve it. They paid for it. So it's like, where is it at? Can we back it up? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really important to really, we need to know too, because if a pool is struggling and we're like, why is this pool turning green? I thought there was a PoolRx in there. You know what I mean? And come to find out, like, dude, I can't find a picture of that thing ever being dropped in there.
Right.
But like,
Yeah.
well,
Or we do have a picture and the customer's thrown it away.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
there was 2 last year the customer threw away, and we were like, hey, no, we have proof that we put it in.
Right.
You guys emptied it and threw it away. Like, you got to pay for another one.
Right.
Which is so crazy, because it doesn't look like something you should
No.
be throwing away. It doesn't look like I don't know, maybe to them it looks like a little toy or something.
But I could see if it's in the skimmer basket surrounded by leaves, you just empty the skimmer basket.
Sure.
I mean, that's why we try to do the pump basket if possible.
Right.
That way only our technicians are really emptying it, because
Sure.
most homeowners aren't going to go out to the pump and empty it. So,
Yeah.
somebody
so-
calling right now for a pool.
So we don't put them in until they're paid for. So as soon if people do have checks that come in, then I'll keep that flow chart going, and that's a little bit more work, I think. So, but like, we make them pay for it, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we charge a flat 75 across the board. So whether it's blue or black, we only have like 30, 40 black ones. The rest of them are all blue, so it isn't too much of a cost difference. But we don't want to tell them, like, you're getting charged $65 for a blue one, or you're getting charged
Sure.
$90 for a black one. If we do that one off, we'll charge a little bit more. Like, if it's just a one random black one,
Sure.
we could charge like 90. But like, for our customers, we just want to blanket it, make it easy for them. We make quite a bit of money off of it. Making $15-$20 on every one is pretty awesome.
Those are good margins, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that's how
And
we do
have
it.
you guys
And-
had to use the booster in many pools at the end of the season?
Well, we strategically planned that. So I mean, you guys run the sale in March through April 15th.
Yep.
So we start our emails in March, and we charge them on April 1st. So the money doesn't come into our account until like April 3rd. at that time, then we go buy all of them.
Right.
So
you kind of have
The booster.
so you have April, May, June, July, August, September kind of time frame. That's the 6-month period. April
so
to
you're in-
September. So
and then
you're-
like a quarter of them don't go in until closer to May because
Right.
they don't pay for them
Yeah.
right away. So yeah, you get the 6 months. There is a few that have a lot of trees around them. If we start to see algae blooms, we'll throw on the booster.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's good. And really, you've already kind of paid for it if you're selling it for, if you're buying it from distribution on sale. There's plenty, and you've sold it for $75. There's plenty of room for that booster, so you're still on the on the plus side there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they get a brand new one every year.
Yeah, but as far as the booster is only like $20-$25 from distribution.
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
not bad.
Yeah, it's been great, man. It's we make some money up front, helps us pay for the summer, because we got 3 times the amount of tabs in the summer as we do in the winter. So it helps us cover that cost. But more importantly, the preventative side of it just really saves us a ton of money on chemical use, man. And
Yeah.
we can't pitch that enough. It's crazy.
And the time at the pool, I imagine your guys are getting, if they're really doing it right, they could probably spend less time at each pool, which maybe they can get an extra, 1 or 2 on their route that day, might help. And it also just benefits the guys that are actually doing the work because they're not working as hard and they're not having that up and down, yo-yo.
We have a lot
roller
of
coaster.
Yeah, the roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of really good guys, but I know that's not the case across the board in the industry. We've had several guys that didn't work out, and it's from a business owner perspective, that insurance policy is key, and that's also why we make them take the pictures and we hold them accountable, and we don't do that as like a, hey, we're watching over you. We're all a team. We do it all together. We actually don't make them really go back to pools if they turn green. We kind of handle them. So there's a kind of a give and take there that, this is what we're giving. This is what we're doing. You guys do it correctly. Then
We're good,
the reason
yeah.
the pool turns green is not going to be your fault. It's going
Right.
to be because the pump goes down or something
Right.
else.
And it's not just them. We're all accountable. The things
Yeah.
that I do, I have every bid gets like 20, 30 photos. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm accountable. If we don't see something in there, it's like, Greg, you did the bid. Where's
Right.
this picture at? I dropped the ball.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's all of us. It's not
Sure.
just that guy. It's if we ask you to do that, believe me, we're doing the same. We're doing the same thing.
Like, we take
Right.
pictures of everything. Our repair guy, every time he does a repair, takes 3 pictures. Every time we do bids, take pictures. Every time we go do a service call, or follow up, it's a picture, because we need that proof, man.
Yeah.
And that just protects us, protects our guys. We make them take a picture of it after servicing every pool now, and that protects them.
Yeah.
Because we had time where the customer would question things and we had no proof.
Right.
But now we have proof.
Yeah, especially on water chemistry too. I mean, eventually you're
Yeah.
like, look, we'll get you through one more season, but you got to drain this thing next, this winter. There's no way around
Yeah.
it. So that also helps you with talking to your customer when it's time to drain a pool.
And I think building that
yeah.
relationship up front on the bids and then the way we communicate really helps with that, because we just tell them, hey man, if you don't do it, we're not going to service it.
Right.
And they don't want to lose us because we take care of our customers.
Yep.
And we have lost a few, and that's fine because we don't really want them anyways.
Right. There
So
you go. There you go. Cool, man. That sounds good.
So let's jump into, PoolRx going into different types of filters. We have the sand filters, DE filters, and cartridge filters. You want to go through each one of those and just,
Yeah.
what is the best way to approach adding the PoolRx with these
Sure.
filters?
Sure. Yeah. The sizing, installation, and maintenance is important. This product's really easy to use, right? I mean, you pick the right size unit based on the gallons of the pool, and you start with a clean filter. And no matter if it's sand, cartridge, or DE, you want to start with as clean a filter as possible, because it's a granular mineral formulation that's inside of this unit, this alloy cylinder. And when you put this in the skimmer or pump basket, this granular mineral is going to dissolve into solution, and you want it to be able to pass through the filter. If the filter is dirty, it's going to get caught up on the dirty filter, and it's not going to pass into the water into solution. And you really want the minerals in the water in solution so it can do its job. So again, people are like, well, I just cleaned it last month. Is that okay? And the answer is yes, right? But you have to get the concept in your mind that the cleaner the filter is, the better the product's going to be able to dissolve through the filter into solution in the water. So it's your call, right? Again, sizing is important. The way people screw this thing up is if they undersize the product or oversize the product. Undersizing it, you're not getting the right the chemistry is not it's not working. The mineral needs to be at a certain content in the water for it to do its job. So undersizing, it's not going to help you. It's not like you can put in half of PoolRx and it's going to do half the job. It's just, you got to get to that tipping point where there's enough mineral in the water. Same on that same point, oversizing it, putting too much mineral in the water is not good either. Putting more in it, more is not better in our situation. You're trying to put the right amount of mineral in based on the gallons at the right time. And overdosing it, the analogy I use is a glass of iced tea, and you pour the sugar into the iced tea, you stir up the iced tea, it makes the sugar makes the iced tea sweet. The excess sugar settles to the bottom of the glass. Same goes for PoolRx. The water can only hold so much mineral into the water in solution. And if you overdose the pool, you'll literally see the granular mineral. It's a bluish color. It'll be floating around the pool. It'll eventually stick to the scale or the calcium on the surface of the pool. And you'll see like this marbling color on your calcium because you've got too much mineral in the water. So more is not better. So that's why we have a sizing chart. It's pretty simple. It's on our website. It's in a catalog. It's on our little cut sheets. You'll see them all over the place. But if you go somewhat within a few thousand, 5,000 gallons, you're going to be in good shape. So there is a nice variance. The blue unit handles 7,500 to 20,000 gallons. The black unit handles 20 to 30,000 gallons. You could put the black unit into a pool at 15,000 gallons, and you're going to be fine. Anything below 15,000, I would be hesitant of just because I just wouldn't want you to overdose. So that's that goes also back to talking about DE filters. DE is a very fine micron filtration, and if you have a DE filter, again, you want to start with a clean filter. Some guys, we don't advertise this as a necessary, but some guys actually put the PoolRx in. They clean the grids off. They put the PoolRx unit in. They run their pump for 4 to 5 hours, so all the minerals dissolve into solution through the filter, and then after that, they put the DE in. They pour the DE in. I'm not advertising that, but that's a pretty common practice out there. But what we're saying is, hey, just start with a clean filter. If you pour the DE in, put the PoolRx unit in there, and make sure your pump is running for at least 4 to 6 hours after you put it in. That's important. And the reason that's important is if you don't run your pump after you put the product in, the mineral is going to start dissolving out of the unit when it hits the water. And so what's going to happen is the mineral is going to, if the pump's not running, the mineral is going to just dissolve into this big concentration of mineral at the bottom of your basket. And all of a sudden the pump turns on, 6 hours later, and this big plume of mineral blows through the system all at once. And you see this granular mineral blows through the system, and you see this big plume into the pool, and it hasn't dissolved into solution. And so it's still kind of in that bigger form factor, and it settles to the bottom. And you'll see the bluish color mineral settle to the bottom or stick to the scale because it hasn't had time to dissolve. So the key, back to sizing, size it properly. Clean the filter first, and make sure you run your pump after you put it in for, at least really it's 4 to 6 hours is ideal because you're getting that constant flow and it's dissolving into solution. It's being circulated through the pool and it's going to get into solution and it's going to be fine. And then really from there on out, you're going to notice that you're going to be able to use less chlorine, maintaining your whatever part per million you want to keep. If you want to keep it at 3 parts per million, you can. If you want to keep it at 4 or 5, you can. It's going to take you less chlorine to get there. I recommend, the sweet spot. Everyone's got their different sweet spots depending on the pool, but 2 parts per million, typically on typical bather load, depending on what part of the country you're on, if you leave it at 2 parts per million before you leave the pool, you're going to have a chlorine residual when you get back the following week. So it's typically 1 tablet per 10,000 gallons with PoolRx. So if you have a 20,000 gallon pool, you got 2 tablets a week, and PoolRx, and you should be pretty good to go. If you need more than that, you need more than that. But again, you're going to find that it's going to take you less chlorine to reach your desired part per million because the minerals are in there, freeing that chlorine up to be more available. And then the minerals are rejuvenated as they pass over the unit. So the unit has to stay in the skimmer or pump basket because there is a reaction with the alloy cylinder and the minerals that keep those minerals effective for a longer period of time. So the PoolRx unit stays in the skimmer or the pump basket, and as the water flows over it, you're getting that reaction there. Now, the minerals are going to be effective for up to 6 months, and the minerals get used up through algae kill, backwashing, splash out, and filter cleans. So the more those things are happening, the harder the minerals are working in the water, the shorter the lifespan of the mineral. So you may have a pool that you put a PoolRx in, it's a 20,000 gallon pool, and you say, oh, I'll just use the blue unit because the blue unit handles 7,500 to 20,000. Well, that's the higher end of the spectrum of the sizing ability for the blue unit. And that pool happens to have, a couple of dogs, they have a bunch of debris, they have a heavy bather load, and you're going to notice that mineral is going to be used up quicker. So you're going to, 4 months later, you might notice, hey, my chlorine demand's going back up. I'm seeing some algae again. What's up? I thought it last 6 months. Well, you used a product that was at the highest level it could handle in at very tough conditions. And so in that particular situation, you would be able to add a booster. So once you notice your chlorine demand going back up, that's when that's the first thing you're going to notice. Now, backing up, the minerals are chelated, so you can't test for the mineral in the water. So people are like, well, can I just test? How do I know when to add more mineral? Well, to add more mineral, you can't test for it. So if you do a copper test, some reagent test strip or liquid reagent, it's not going to be consistent on what copper is in the water. It's not our copper because it's chelated and you're not going to be able to find it. That's important because of the safety of the product to not stain your pool. The downside is, well, how do I know when to add more mineral to the water? And the first thing you'll notice is that chlorine demand is going to go up. And it's going to go up because now the mineral content is dropping in the water, and now that microalgae is starting to grow again, and it's consuming your chlorine. The second thing you'll notice is, hey, I see some hint of algae, I see a little mustard spot, or I see a little tinge of green. At that point, there's not enough mineral in the water, and that's when you should add the booster. The booster, again, is the same mineral that's packed inside of the blue unit. It handles 7,500 to 20,000 gallons. If you had a 30 or 35,000 gallon pool, you're probably going to have to use 2 boosters. But on a typical residential pool, 20,000, just use 1 booster. Again, clean the filter first, pour the contents of the booster into the skimmer or pump basket. That mineral will dissolve into solution in the water. As that mineral passes over that original PoolRx unit, that alloy is going to rejuvenate those minerals in the water. So it's going to get you another 4 to 6 months. The alloy in the PoolRx unit is only effective in rejuvenating minerals for up to 1 year in the water. After a year, that alloy gets scaled and corroded, and it loses the connectivity with the minerals in the water. So every year you need a new PoolRx unit. And then if necessary, you can use the booster when needed. But again, only use it when needed. It's not necessary to add, more is not better. Use it when you need it. And that's really as simple as it gets. But again, I wanted to reiterate the installation. A lot of what we get a few times this summer is people saying, hey, I have this blue color, around my main drain. And I'm like, well, did you put the PoolRx unit in, and then did you turn the pump on before you left? And they say, no, it was in there it was in there. The pump didn't start running for 8 hours later. They don't run it until nighttime. I'm saying, well, that's part of the problem because those minerals, just stayed they dissolved into this big clump of this big concentration of mineral, blows through the system into the pool, doesn't have room to dissolve, and then it kind of settles to the bottom. So I want to try to avoid that by sharing this on your podcast so people kind of get a clue of, it's simple. Clean your filter, drop it in, run your pump, and you're good to go.
Yeah. What do you think is the minimum time to be running the pump?
It's going to depend on flow rates,
The pool should turn over at least once.
I'm talking about as far as installation goes. It's the mineral is going to dissolve depending on how much flow, as far as the time it takes to dissolve all the mineral. Oh, okay. As far as turning the pool over, we recommend 1.5 times a day, and ideally we'd like to run the pump during the heat of the day. But yeah, as long as you circulate and filter your water 1.5 times a day with PoolRx, you're good to go. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, full disclosure, we want them in every pool. So if we cleaned the filter 2 months ago, we're probably not cleaning that filter again.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of customers on a 6 month,
sure,
filter cleaning schedule. If it's within the same month, we'll clean it, and then we wait till after we clean it to put it in. But I mean, if it's been 4 months since the filter clean, we still put it in.
Yeah.
And then if we have to put a booster in after the filter clean 2 months later, we do.
Right.
So I don't want everybody to think that we charge everybody for a filter clean and then put it in, because we don't. We just keep the same regular schedule, and then we we ideally we would love to do filter cleans before every single one. Yeah, but we think it's better, like you said, as an insurance policy, it's better to get it in the water and use a booster.
And you made it, exactly. You made a good point. If you need to, then you use the booster. Because some of that mineral, if it's 6 months later, 5-6 months later, and you put it in, some of that mineral is getting caught up on the filter, not dissolved completely. So you may need some extra mineral if necessary. So that's a good point. Yeah. And it's relatively inexpensive for what you get.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Fred. Let's, give you an opportunity to plug PoolRx and, where we can find you on social media and, how people that have never used the product before, what they need to do in order to, get the best price possible.
Sure, absolutely. So to first find us, you can go to our website, PoolRx.com. If you're a pool professional, you can request to be added to our list, and we'll send you the password to the pool professional section. On social media, we're getting stronger on that, and we can interact with you there. On Instagram, we're pool_RX. And if you're using the product or you want to tag us on anything, that we'd be really thankful for that. On Facebook, we're PoolRx Worldwide Inc. And then on Twitter, we are @PoolRx. So you can go back and forth with us on any of those platforms. We'd love to hear from you. As far as trying to find our product at the best price, for pool professionals, it should be available at any local distributor you have. And we typically do a sale from March to mid-April every year. And the best way to purchase that is during that sale, and also look for those 4-packs. The 4-packs, the lowest cost average per unit. We also are going to try to do a booster sale at the end of the season as well. Even though it's not as big of an opportunity, it's still, some folks do need some boosters at the end of the season depending on bathe loading conditions. So look for that as well. But again, if you don't have a distributor that's stocking our product, in fact, you can contact me at fred@poolrx.com is my email, fred@poolrx.com. And I can direct you to a distributor, or I can contact the distributor in your local market and make sure that they are carrying us. So yeah, those are the basics. If you're a homeowner or end user, you can always check us out. Look for us on Amazon. We do, Amazon does carry the product, and we have quite a few raving reviews there. I think we're a 4.9 stars out of 5, I think, right now, with over 600 reviews. So, nice. It's a great place to get it as well. But your local distributor is going to have the best price for you, and the best way to get the product is buying it in 4-packs, the lowest cost average per unit. So ultimately,
it is cheaper than Amazon for you pool professionals.
Yep.
Don't buy it on Amazon. Go to your distributor for sure.
Yeah, Pool Pro for sure. Absolutely. The other part of that is, if we also have an email, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask the craziest, stupidest questions. It's not going to, a lot of people have been shy because they don't know enough about water chemistry or what, anything going on. So they seem to kind of hide in the shadows. But with PoolRx, look, ask us those questions. We can try to help you through it. And you can email us at info@poolrx.com, and you can get all those questions answered as well. So that's about it. But we're willing to help anyone that wants to be helped, and we're very into helping the trade. The service professionals really are our core customer. And we appreciate all the folks that have supported us and that have taken a chance of learning about PoolRx, and we're really proud of what we've been able to do as a company to really improve the quality of business that you guys are doing on a day-to-day basis, and helping the customer as well. So with that, I thank you guys at Pool Chasers to invite me over to this and take a chance to talk with me about all this stuff today. And I really appreciate the support and the friendships we're building. So appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here, Fred. We really appreciate you.
Cool. Yeah. It's been a real honor of, becoming your friend over the years. So we appreciate you and all the support, and thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate it, guys.
Wasn't that a great episode, guys? Thank you so much for listening. We have enjoyed our time with Fred, and we hope you guys learned something from it. As always, take what you can, use it, apply it to your business. If you have any questions, please email us at poolchasers.info@gmail.com. And also, please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Our tag is Pool Chasers. Please take a moment out of your day to subscribe to the podcast, and also if you can leave a review, we would truly appreciate it. Thanks again, guys.
See you out there, pool chasers.